Greetings and love, family. Yeah, from the foundation of creation, from the origin of civilization. Xabi Ramaskan, Rastafari. We give thanks and praise to be here right now, holding a reasoning once again. Yeah, it's been a little time. It's been a couple months, you know what I mean, since we put on these little reasoning style videos online. Yeah, and vibes have to continue. There's a time for everything. Big up all the massive who were tuned into the Wise Mind Wednesdays. We're gonna resume it soon. Yeah, that was part 1 of the series. Part 2 soon come. Don't worry. We also have enough things in the works and enough things on the way. Enough announcements soon come. You know what I mean? So keep it locked to all the socials and all those things there. You know what I mean? Rastafari, love and light. So family, today now, what I want to reason briefly upon, I was meant to do this a few weeks ago. Some of the items might have seen that recently me posted online a lyrics video for, you know what I mean, I want to say a tune, I want to say a little spoken word piece of mine, and the name of that piece is called Foundation. Yeah, and in that tune we're dealing with, you know what I mean, the foundations of humanity, Africa, you know what I mean, we're dealing with Ethiopia, we're dealing with Kemet and Kush, you know what I mean, Nubia, you know what I mean. So what I want to do, I want to play the tune for the item, and I want to give a little bit of a lyrical analysis as we go through and explain some of the meaning behind some of the lyrical content and things for those that wish to maybe go a little bit deeper, because, you know what I mean, there are a few people who've messaged me still, what's all this about pyramids and Egypt and Rastafari. You better know Kemet was built by black Africans. Egypt, ancient Egypt, was a black African civilization before it was colonized by the Greeks, after they'd studied there for 300 years, and then they went to rape and pillage, followed by the Romans, followed by the current settlers. Today, not to offend anybody, just to tell things historically, you know what I mean, that Egypt became the empire that it is today, you know what I mean, through defeating the Roman Empire, who defeated the Greek Empire, who had took down the Kemetic kingdom, you know what I mean. So we have to know the history, and we have to know it's deep, and we have to know they have lied to us, because one of their main agendas in Babylon is to keep from us the truth of the fact, you know what I mean, that Egypt was built by Africans, by black people, and they would show us in Futurama, and they would show us like it was built by slaves and blah 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 blah. This is just a downplay, you know what I mean, the atrocities that they've committed, you know what I mean. So it's deep, and we have to know the true history, we have to study for ourselves, but the lengths that they have gone to hide the fact that Egypt was built by black people, that it is an African civilization first and foremost, the lengths that they've gone to are so severe and so surprising that it's obvious to I that they're trying to hide this thing. And if people in Africa and around the world knew the glory that the African continent did once have and does still have today, just that it may be sleeping or hidden in certain places, you know what I mean, if people in Africa woke up knowing, yo, we're the ones who build the kingdom of Kemet, the kingdom of Kush, Great Zimbabwe Woods, all of these great ancient kingdoms, if people knew these things that Babylon have been hiding, people would feel so proud, and you know what I mean, they would have that revolutionary spirit to still keep fighting and rising. But you see how Babylon has done it, they make us feel like, oh, like we're just Africa and we're just poor and that's just how it is, you know what I mean, Baka. Nah, it's not like that. That's the system what they have put into our mind. Psychological warfare. Yeah. More information coming soon, fam. Let's get into the reasoning. Let's get into the point. If you want some references to go and study about ancient Egypt and thing, hit me up as well. I can send you some good things, you know what I mean? Yo, there's a book right here somewhere, right down there on Kemetic yoga. And obviously, right, you know what I mean, there's confusion because we can be narrow-minded and we can say yoga is a pagan thing and blah. Yo, we have to check the thing, we have to check the history, everything cultural and rootical. Alright, me see a meme the other day, them call it meme in this modern world and time, yeah. Me see a meme and it said they have demonized your history to keep you from learning about it. So like, you know, we think that everything that come out of Egypt is evil and wicked and pagan and manaman. Now fam, we have to read between the lines because not everything is as simple as that and as black and white as that. You know what I mean? Things are deep, and what they've done now is they have got us now. I can't talk for the whole world, isn't it? But they've got us now. I can talk like, for example, in Ethiopia or in Africa, and we just know in the whole world. In the whole world, I can't talk for the whole world. The whole of humanity, they've got us scared now of, you know what I mean, of knowing our roots, and especially when it comes to Africa now and black people now. They have twisted the history. They always take things what are African and change it to be a bad thing, like the swastika from Lalibela, which is not a swastika. This is a representation of all four corners of the earth working in unity, and Babylon took it, turned it the other way, and said this is a Nazi logo. Yeah, and they do this with everything, with Isis, who is an Egyptian goddess, you know what I mean, and they say some terrorist thing. Nah fam, you know what I mean. So they take everything what was once good and rootical and have a meaning, and they turn it into a negative thing, and they keep us scared and distanced, like we don't want to learn about that because that could be evil and pagan. No, that's what they've taught us, to believe that it's evil and pagan. It is roots and culture, and we have to know and we have to study the root. Yeah, so in this tune foundation, I'm saying big up all the youth, study, seek the truth from the root. And let me play the tune before we keep talking. Yeah, you can go check out the lyrics video on YouTube right now. Lyrical analysis. Egypt usually comes to mind when people think of ancient kingdoms and civilizations. However, as we plunge deeper into the truth about our beginnings, new data keeps being unearthed in the land of Kush, unlocking the mysteries and secrets of our true identity. Yeah, we have to start right there, because why I called it a spoken word piece as well is because it's not like your average tune. We don't really have a hook and a chorus when I recorded it. You know what I mean? It was just a vibe that I had to put out there. Like I say, it was 2017 when we recorded this one. The rhythm, you just find it online. Big up one like Contrary Beats. You know what I mean? So look, I opened up there with a little reading. The reading was from a book called The Roots of Rastafari, A Journey to the Roots of Rastafari, the Saint Nazarene Link. Now this book, I live in England right now, but I have my copy. I would love to get my hands on my copy. It's a very informative book. There's a lot of detail. The illustrations are also great. Bigging up one like Abba Yahuda, who is the man behind that book. And yeah, I think at the time of writing this tune, I was inspired as well. I was getting some information. I was learning things from this book, and we say, yo, I have to include some quotes from this book too. You know what I mean? Strengthen the reasoning being given in the lyrics. Yeah. All right, for whatever. I sit back, level my spirit, I feel the energies, my chakras open. I sit back, level my spirit, I feel them energies, my chakras open in it. So for I'm now, when I'm writing this, you know what I mean? In my mind now, I'm in the nature, I'm in the mountains, I'm by the lakeside. Me, I know exactly where I am actually in my head. I know exactly where I am, because I know where I used to chill at the time of writing this tune. And yeah, so me somewhere, you know what I mean, in the nature, me meditating, me thinking, you know what I mean? We're giving thanks as we're searching for a higher knowledge. Hold the reasoning in the jungle or the forest with the elements. We're just vibes in. Everything is still, because we have to know that within the realms and the spirit of Jah, everything is still. Everything is calm and tranquil. There's none of this rushing. Leave the rushing for the Russians. You get me? That's a little joke. Big up all Russia family. You know what I mean? Yo, there ain't no stressing and rushing and crushing within the realms and spirit of the Most High. Good is peace, calm, tranquility, and love. You know what I mean? So me say we just vibes in, everything still when we look out over Jah waters and the hill. Because like I say, the place where we was chilling there, we would be able to look out over the water and see how still it was. And you look out over the hills and you see how everything is fine. You might hear some traffic from some distant place, or you might see movement in a distant place, but where you are, it's just nature and stillness, and everything is fine. And we give thanks unto the Almighty for those meditation moments. You know what I mean? Black dove flying. Why black dove? Because white dove, we always have white dove. We need a black dove in other place. And if you check the lyrics video, it's by Jah Mystics that a black dove is flying in the video. So I had to put that part with the lyric. You know what I mean? Rastafari. Black meaning good, yeah. Picking up Rebel MC Congo Natty with the classic album Black Meaning Good, I believe 1991. Where man is talking about how they have used all these words to confuse us, to colonize the language, to colonize our minds, yeah. Black magic, black book, black list, Black Friday, black witches, all for them having negative connotations. And now when they talk about pure and clean things, they will say white, light, white magic, and all this. It's a trick, family. It's not about black and white, you know. Why them don't call it dark magic or evil magic, or, you know what I mean? Like the word sound power, the etymology of the words, the roots of the words, we have to know, because it's powerful, and Babylon always trying to trick us, trick I and I. You know what I mean? Yeah. Babylon always trying to trick I and I with the word sound power, so you have to be careful and militant about that one. Rastafari is the black top flying, everything crisp. Don't you know Rastafari is bliss? King Selassie sit there upon the throne. Ethiopia, Africa, I'm coming home. Now when I say Ethiopia, Africa, I'm coming home, ones might be thinking like, yo, was he talking about Ethiopia, Africa, he's coming home? Like, where's this man from? Like, yo, fam, we're dealing with a spiritual context right now. We're dealing with celestial, spiritual, black carbon essence. You know what I mean? So we're dealing with our spiritual bodies and our spiritual self. And we may even be dealing with, you know what I mean, the idea of reincarnation. Or we may be dealing with the idea of the knowledge of the truth, that our spirit, in our spirit form, we can travel and transverse dimensions and time and space and all these things. Yeah. Forward. To rebuild what was, this is why the tune is called Foundation now. To rebuild what was laid down from ancient, the key is to embrace our foundation. You know what I mean? Meaning embrace the knowledge of the roots of all things, embrace the truth, embrace the history from the root. You know what I mean? The foundation. If someone's were able in that time to build such a great civilization with great knowledge and great things, we must surely look at that foundation and feel proud and say, yo, if man this many thousand years ago can build a civilization like this, what about I and I today? And obviously our civilization must be built in the name of the Most High. Just as their civilization was, I suppose, before it became corrupted. You know what I mean? Do your research, family. Not even I suppose, we know. I man take it straight to the root. I'm white now physically from you. Now, me not even really like that line, because since writing it, we come to the realization that these terms, black and white, as His Majesty say, we must eradicate them from our speech. You know what I mean? We must become members of a new race, overcoming petty prejudice and division. However, at the same time, I believe sometimes we have to use these words in context, because we still have these racial wars going on earth, spiritual warfare. And although they've tricked us into believing it is about race, we know it is about class, rich and poor. The elite holding on to their power, because if all the poor people of the world came together, they could overthrow them in 5 minutes, fam. But in order to stop everyone from doing that, your race, make it racial. Make them think it's black against white, against brown, against Chinese. Fam, it's one humanity, you know. It's one Babylon system, it's one God and it's one devil. You know what I mean? Choose which side you're on, fam. Simple as that. Rastafari, I know. Alright, what was I gonna say now? The lyric says, I'm white now physically from youth. I man take it straight to the roots. I'm white now physically from youth. And I guess the reason why I wanted to address that in that tune was because, yeah, I'm talking about Africa. You know what I mean? And I'm not trying to claim anything as my own. You know what I mean? I'm not saying, yo, I may build the pyramids. No, sir. You know what I mean? We are acknowledging the root. We are seeking the truth from the root. And the root is Africa. The root is blackness, whether physically or spiritually or cosmically. Yeah. These are more reasonings we're going to get into. Drop your comments and thing. The point is right now, why did I drop this lyric in there? I man take it straight to the root. I'm white now physically from you. Because I know, say there's going to be some people listening saying, yo, what is white youth? What is white youth talking about? The foundation. Blah, blah, blah. You know what I mean? Forward, family. Word, sound, power. but my soul come from a far land. Dimensions that have travelled are grand. So some and I we need to rise above this physicality and raciality that we're stuck in as humanity in this time. And we have to deal with things on a spiritual level. Yeah. And we know that our spirit and our soul has travelled dimensions and time. Thousands of years, hundreds of years, millions of years. We have old souls, we have young souls, we have all kind of souls. We have souls that have sold off them souls. You know what I mean? We have all kind of souls. And so in this tune I'm saying, yes, you know what I mean? In this carnation, me may be white, me may be what them would call white, according to the Babylonian, you know what I mean, division, terminologies. I man take it straight to the root. I'm white, and even when I said it, I'm white now, physically from youth. My soul comes from a far land. Dimensions that have travelled are grand. So what I'm basically saying is now, get up off your physicality and rise to a spirituality, because I'm dealing with spiritual things here. I man have been on this earth, you know what I mean, multiple times. Yeah, me can tell you that now. Just like Peter Tosh say, I man have been here millions and millions of times, millions of years with the Creator. You know what I mean? We go through our stages, you know what I mean? We're still on a learning journey, but we know say never just one time, and never just 27 years in physical. That's not how long I've been alive, fam. We are alive since creation, since Jah created, which is why later in the tune we say, I was there when Jah laid out the plan. Alright, we have another reading now. I believe, again, this is from Abba Yehuda. Although conflicting to the history written by many past and present scholars and historians, Ethiopia's kingdom was established long before Egypt was born, and it was the Ethiopians who migrated down the Nile and constructed what we now know as Egyptian civilization. This is not to disrespect, this is not to upset any of my family in Egypt here, but we're dealing with plain historical factuality. It was the Ethiopians who travelled and migrated down the Nile and constructed what we now know as Egyptian civilization, having first, prior to that, if you're asking where's the evidence, plenty of evidence, fam, plenty of evidence, but one big crucial piece of evidence. Prior to that, they had built the kingdom of Kush in Sudan, on the way, following the Nile. You understand? Second verse now, yeah? Pyramid of Giza was not built by a man looking like Caesar. It was built by African blood, set everywhere in Africa's love. I was there before the first grain of sand. I was there when Jah laid out the plan. Breath of life into woman and man. You was there too, remember? So before you get offended and I was there when Jah laid out the plan. How could you be there when Jah laid out the plan? Well, you was also there when Jah laid out the plan, but you have to remember, we have to access the memories within, you know what I mean? Our spiritual memories and DNA and these things. We don't know exactly how it works, but you know what I mean, as we go further within on this journey, we're going to find out how we can try to access our ancient memories, Akashic records, and all these things. So enough things to reason on, family, yeah? Pyramid of Giza was not built by a man looking like Caesar, as they would have us believe. Oh, this is Europeans who come and build this great civilization. Nah, fam. The one who built Giza never looked like Caesar. Was a proud black African. You know what I mean? Rastafari. Forward on right now. And you know, me could name drop a brethren right now, but you know who you are. Big up yourself, because you have enough knowledge on the dynasties of ancient Kemet, on the kings, on the pharaohs. Like me, I don't even know. I couldn't name you really the order of the pharaohs, which dynasty they were in, and all this and this. But I have certain brethren and certain ones who are deep into the chematology, and they know the deep history and information, and there's so much to learn and know. So do not be narrow-minded and think that you know about Egypt or Kemet. Because what? Because what? If you've never researched, you know nothing about Egypt or Kemet or Kush or Nubia. So you must research this crucial foundation. Yeah? Pyramid of Giza was not built by a man looking like Caesar. Alright. Pyramid of Giza was not built by a man looking like Caesar. It was built by African blood. So everywhere in Africa is love. I was there before the first grain of sand. I was there when Jaja laid out the plan. Yeah, everywhere in Africa is love, because they would have us believe like, oh, Africa is this and Africa is that. But we have to know, fam, Africa is full of love. It's the foundation, after all, of creation. Love is creation. Alright. I was there before the first grain of sand. I was there when Jaja laid out the plan. Breath of life into woman and man. You was there too, remember? Hey.
Well, the different religions in the historic form.
You was there too, remember? So I'm encouraging ones to remember that you were also there. Don't feel bad. Don't feel like I'm saying I was the only one there, like I'm important. We was all there, fam. All ancient souls, big up. All old souls, sign into the comments. Because you was there, remember? So now we go into another reading. And in this reading, I read 3 separate small quotes from His Majesty. And this kind of follows on from what I was just saying about the division and the raciality. What His Majesty is saying. While the different religions bind us to limited groups and militate against the development of loyalty towards the world community, the different mystics have already stood for the fellowship of humanity in harmony with the mystics of ages gone by. Big up all old souls, big up all mystics, standing for the fellowship of humanity. Look what His Majesty says. Go back a little bit.
While the different religions in the historic form bind us to limited groups and militate against the development of loyalty to the world community, the mystics have already stood for the fellowship of humanity
in harmony with the mystics of ages gone by. Whatever religion we may profess, we are spiritual kinsmen, and we should tolerate and live side by side with those of other faiths. No one should question. Nothing's Majesty just said, no one should question the faith of others, because no one can question the ways of God the Most High. Go back again. Whatever religion we may profess, we are spiritual kinsmen. We should tolerate and live side by side with those of other faiths. No one should question the faith of others. No human being can judge the ways of God Most High. Yeah? And just as the different religions militate against the development of loyalty to the world community because they keep us divided in man-made religion, the mystics of humanity, those spiritual man and woman and ones have already stood for the fellowship of humanity in harmony with the mystics of ages gone by. So it's only a matter of time before humanity realizes again she's one. The mystics have already stood. The different religions militate against. And so we must be careful not to put ourselves into division and look at somebody of another religion and say, oh, blah, 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 blah. This is Babylon that has tricked us into that. Whatever religion we may profess, we are spiritual kinsmen, and we should tolerate and live side by side with those of other faiths. No human being should question the ways of God. No human being should question the faith of another, for no human being can judge the ways of God Most High. Yet, there is no one so mighty on earth that he can say he knows as much as God Almighty, the Creator. You know what I mean? So family, forward on third verse. So why am I bringing this knowledge forward? I've been talking for 23 minutes now. Why have I been talking for 23 minutes? Why did I feel this morning, on this Wednesday morning, to rise up and talk for 23 minutes? Why am I bringing this knowledge forward is what the lyric says, you know what I mean? So why am I bringing this knowledge forward? Wouldn't it be easier to just ignore it? What I'm talking about, like, why am I bringing it up? Like, couldn't we just get on with our lives? Wouldn't it be easier to just ignore it? To yawn when I bring it up? Ooh, look at the time, I've got to go. To yawn when I bring it up and call it boring? It's all because you don't want to admit your body is not where you are born in, fam. You know what I mean? Yeah. And it's all because of you don't want to admit, because why am I bringing this knowledge forward? Wouldn't it be easier for you to yawn and call it boring? Well, it would, because you don't want to face it, you don't want to admit it, you don't want to see the time. And I'm talking to all of humanity. You don't want to admit that all of humanity comes from Africa. All of humanity shares one common root, and that is blackness, that is Africa, that is the continent, that is 154, that is Mother Africa, Mother Earth, beautiful and glorious in all of her ways, from creation until forever. You know what I mean? Give thanks and praises. Rastafari. So look, family, we know Africa's the root, yeah. We know that everything come out of Africa. You know what I mean? In the other tune, African Eve, we talk about the mitochondrial DNA linking us all back as humanity to one common ancestor, a black African woman who lived 2,000 years ago and all these things, yeah. We have a lyrics video in the works for African Eve. We're going to be dropping it. And you know, although the tunes are not perfect, and although we just kind of record them by myself at home at that time, it was the spirit of getting this message out and sharing this word sound power. So who knows? Drop it in the comments. Would you love to hear a brand new remix, a brand new addition, a brand new lyrical delivery of these classic lyrical concoctions? You know what I mean? Fresh for 2022, 2023. We could do a new edition and put these lyrics out bigger and better, but at the same time, forward ever, backward never. Yeah. So African Eve dealing with the mitochondrial DNA, Foundation dealing with Kemet, the literal evidence of great African civilization that can be found in Kemet. You know what I mean? Rastafari. So we forward them. Why am I bringing this knowledge forward? Wouldn't it be easier to just ignore it? You only want to bring it up and call it boring. You don't want to admit your body is not where you are born in. Fam, your body is not where you were born in, because you are born in your spirit. Your spirit is your real self. Your body is your vessel on this earth, your flesh on this earth for this time, for this 70 years, 80 years, 100 years, however many years that God has granted you and given you to live. This is your vessel. Not this. This is my t-shirt. This is your vessel. You feel me? This is your vessel, fam. You know what I mean? And these are your antennas. You know what I mean? But within you is your spiritual essence now. The Most High within, when He planted that spiritual life force within you, that creation life force from the foundation. Yeah. Rastafari. So what I'm saying is now, your body, we're stuck in physicality. We're stuck in body and physical and flesh. We need to rise out of that. We need to come to our spiritual senses. You know what I mean? We need to come to our spiritual self. And we need to see things on a spiritual level. When we look at brothers and sisters, we should not be looking at their skin color and their physicality and whatever these petty little We have to look at their spirit, fam. And really, the spirit will tell you a lot more than anything else what you need to know. So what you think because somebody is black or somebody is white or somebody is brown or somebody is Chinese or somebody is this, that you can say, yo, you are this and this and this. That is the most narrow-minded foolishness I ever heard in my life, fam. Because if you grow up and get to know about the world, you'll find out there are good and bad people from all over the world, every denomination. We are one as humanity. Yeah. There's no one set of people who are angels, and there's no one set of people who are devils. You know what I mean? We have to acknowledge the historical things, the context of things that have happened. And yes, we know that white Europeans, you know what I mean, are responsible for many of the terrible things that happened on earth. But it doesn't mean that all white people, and doesn't mean all Europeans, because it was only the elites. And this is the trick that they've got us in. You know what I mean? Because at that time in Europe, we don't know too much about Europe, but we know, for example, in England, even today, how much homeless people and poor people you have on the streets. Look in the 1800s when they said that all poor people were going to be allowed to vote for the first time. And they showed up at the park to vote. And here come the elites on their horses and chop off all them heads and thing. You know what I mean? So we know it's a class warfare, family. It's a spiritual warfare, first of all, and they're using class as their thing. Rich and poor, keep the power to the elites. If these poor people, if humanity gets power, because the elites are 1%, you know. If the 99% get power, then God is going to reign on earth, you know what I mean? Love is going to blossom, you know what I mean? So they have to keep their power, and they have to keep us divided. So they keep these physical things on us. And they go through their Babylon media and Hollywood and all their Babylon music and all these things. They create stereotypes that young ones growing up, if they don't know themselves, they will feel that they have to fall into that stereotype. And that comes for black and white and everything. You know what I mean? So we're dealing with origin, the foundation, which is God, which is love, which is one. And we know that creation took place in Africa. You know what I mean? We know that everything comes out of Africa. And we give thanks for that. You know what I mean? Why would you not give thanks and feel joy for that? A lot of people, they get scared. Oh, no, that. Fam. Let's stay on point. We just give thanks and we give praises for all the revelations every time. We give thanks for the beauty of the continent of Mother Africa, where all humanity originates from. You know what I mean? Yeah. From black man and woman. As I'm about to say, the first civilization on earth, black woman and man, and then they gave birth. Why did I even put black woman first? Yeah, it's significant, fam. It's significant because who is the life giver? You know what I mean? Who's the one that, you know what I mean, connects the portal and brings life? You know what I mean? Who is the biggest threat to Babylon in these times? The black woman, the spiritual woman. You know what I mean? The real matriarch, the original woman. The grandmothers, them, look in Africa in the ancient time. If you had a problem, you would go to the grandmothers. You know what I mean? We know all of these things. Let's not get too off topic right now. You don't want to admit your body is not where you're born in. People don't want to listen to these things. They don't want to reason on this knowledge, on these ideas, on these realities. Because, you know, especially the older we get, the harder it becomes, because, you know, we think we know about the world, we think we know who we are, we think we know life, and we're living life, and then somebody comes along now telling you, yo, actually, that's a lie, that's a lie, that's a lie, and this is the reality. Now, if you're going to accept those things and look into those things, then you're going to have to accept the fact that you are going to have to realize and accept that part of what you have already known is a lie, and you're going to have to be open to the fact that you might have knowledge in your head that has been taught to you as propaganda, and you're going to have to now unlock this knowledge and change your way of thinking, and therefore change your entire life, change your liberty, change your way of living, because you've seen the truth. And some people are scared because even though they might know, deep down they know there's a greater truth out there, but if they go searching for it, and if they listen to it, it means that they're going to have to admit that the truth that they know is not quite true, and they're going to have to change their life, and oh my gosh, I'm living a lie, and what's going to happen? And you know, it's scary, it's a panic for some people, and this is why we can't be angry on the people. You know what I mean? Big up all the muggles looked in. No, I'm joking, fam. We can't be angry on the people. We can never blame the people because it's not their fault. It's the system who have put the people asleep and keep them asleep and keep them scared to wake up. You know what I mean? So I, ones who have been blessed to see certain things and, you know what I mean, understand and overstand certain knowledge of the earth, we give thanks for these revelations. And yeah, we do our best to share the knowledge. Sharing is caring. And like I say, it's nobody's responsibility to try and awaken somebody and enlighten. Only a person can only enlighten and awaken themselves and change their own way of thinking. But we can just put information out there. You know what I mean? Word, sound, power, frequency, vibration. As Brother Vaughan would say, good, what him say? Kind words, good vibration, frequency, emanation, some such, you know what I mean? Word, sound, power family. Let's fold into the Word, sound, power foundation. Big up yourself. If you're still locked in, enough respect.
To just ignore it.
Wouldn't it be easier to just ignore it? You own when I bring it up?
Don't wanna admit your body's not where you're born in.
The first civilization on earth, black woman and man, and then they gave birth. Cause when you know the real history, you start to see things differently. See it there? The first civilization on earth, black woman and man, and then they gave birth. Because when you know the real history, then you'll start to see things differently. Yeah? But if you only know the Babylon version of history that they've taught you, white supremacy and these things, if you believe the lies that they've taught you, that Africa is a barren wasteland, a desert with no water, full of starving children, like, fam, I've not been to all places. Yeah, in the rural places, you have some communities that, you know, are in sufferation, but nothing like what they put on the TV, fam. What do you think? I'm gonna walk outside now and the streets full of starving bellies, fam? It's a disrespect. It's a blood clot insult. You understand? It's a blood clot fucking, sorry for the language, disrespect and a travesty that they would try to have the world believe that Africa was like that. Malnutrition, fam. The Babylon system, they suffer from spiritual malnutrition, you know what I mean, and lack of intelligence and lack of love and compassion and righteousness, you know what I mean. They lack love for humanity. Alright, yo, I'm going deep in the reasoning right now. First civilization on earth, as I said, black woman and man, and then they gave birth. Now, even in the tune African Eve, why is it called African Eve? Because when this mitochondrial DNA research came out, yeah, I think it was in the 1990s, it was a professor in America, and she took samples from every kind of denomination of humanity. And she traced the DNA back through the maternal line, which is the DNA on your mother's side. And she found that all of humanity shares one common ancestor, which is a black woman who lived in Africa around 2,000 years ago, or some such like this. Yeah. Now, what is it? When this news come out now, it must have been more than 2,000 years ago. It could have been 2 million years ago, 200,000 years ago. We're gonna have to check that article, and we have to check the things, the historical, timelines and such. But the point is now, when this news came out, this information came out, a lot of the Babylonian newspapers and them, they didn't want to believe it, but still they had to publish it. And some of them would publish these articles, like one of them, for example, was African Eve with a big question mark. Was Eve of Adam and Eve? So speculating, could this be the biblical Eve, Hewan? And these articles were saying, was she a black woman? How could she have been? Because they're so shocked, they don't want to believe it. They don't want to admit. Why am I bringing this knowledge forward? Wouldn't it be easier to just ignore it? When I bring it up and call it boring, you don't want to admit your body's not where you're born in. You don't want to admit the history that has been taught to you as a lie. And therefore, you might have already even turned off this video. You're like, nah, JahMike, we can't deal with that. Well, fam, you have to deal with it. And once we deal with it, you're amazing thing, fam. What? You want to live in a lie? Nah, fam. First civilization on earth, check. Black woman and man, check. And then they gave birth, check. 3 facts. Because when you know the real history, you start to see things differently. And like I say, when we know the real history, we have to decolonize our mind, and we have to change our mind, we have to change our way of thinking. And we have to accept the fact that some knowledge that we have in our head from childhood is not true, and it is lies that have been taught to us, and we might be believing in those lies, but it's okay because we didn't know. So now we have a chance to repent through that knowledge, knowledgeable repentance of the mind. And we have a chance to unlearn and relearn what we'd once known. We have to unlearn the lie and relearn the truth. Yeah. And then the more truths we learn, the more we get to know about this world, the more we get to know about ourselves as individuals, as collective humanity, and the more we can just give thanks in the knowledge of the fact that we are all one. And there's an elite set of society called the Babylonians, who worship bad forces and want to bring down the rest of humanity, but they're only 1%, fam. The time's already up. They have no power over the Almighty and the children of the Almighty and those who know themselves. The only people they have power over are those who don't know themselves, who don't know humanity, and who would believe the lies that they tell. And this is why humanity cannot progress. This is why the frequency cannot uplift right now. This is why we cannot shift, and this is why the world is in so much problem, because people are still believing the lies that have been pushed by the Babylon system. And when you're believing these lies, when you're living a lie, it has a vibration and a frequency. Just like word sound power, actions and everything has vibration, everything has frequency. So when people are acting out of lies or dishonesty or deceit, as we've discussed before, this holds back the frequency. And from they have so many, the majority of the earth believing the lies, it's like the whole frequency of the earth is just being held right now. But we see Babylon step by step tumbling and crumbling, down the sewers and the drains. No longer again shall we play their game. So Babylon's tumbling, knowledge is crumbling through the cracks. Look how many manuscripts they destroyed from Timbuktu in Mali. In Ethiopia alone, from Battle of Magdala, and enough other things from all over Africa. Look how many manuscripts they've destroyed, fam. Why? Just for fun? What, they had to make a bonfire to keep warm? Come on, fam. Look at all the pharaohs from Egypt, how Napoleon shoot off the noses and thing. Big up my brethren Culture Mark, because he tell me a story about in the British Museum one time, they had a pharaoh in the top room where they had the Egypt, area, and he even showed me the photographic evidence. This pharaoh or mummy or such has been in the museum, the British Museum, for like 10 years. And next thing, they're moving this pharaoh downstairs from the Egypt exhibit upstairs. They want to now move the exhibit downstairs. They're rearranging the museum. And somehow this pharaoh loses his nose along the way. His African features are somehow lost from upstairs till downstairs. But from thousands of years ago in ancient Kemet, being stolen, being brought to England to the museum, all those things, he'll never lose his nose. But from upstairs to downstairs, him lose his nose. Why? Because if we can see the man's facial features, we can know that the man was a black African. You know what I mean? And they wouldn't want us to know that. So anyway, fam, yeah? It's just about that. It's about acknowledging the foundation. And this is why I say to rebuild what was laid down from ancient, the key is to embrace our foundation. Now, as humanity, and what I'm talking about, to rebuild what was laid down from ancient. I'm not talking about to rebuild the pyramids or something like that. To rebuild what was laid down from ancient. You know what I mean? To rebuild, to regain again, to live again in the knowledge of great knowledge, like these ancient civilizations lived in, to live in the knowledge of light, to live in the knowledge of love, not to be living in confusion and lies that they have us living in today. So in order to rebuild what was laid down from ancient, love and greatness and glory for humanity, we must embrace the foundation. We must go to the root where it began. You know what I mean? Why watch the remake when there's an original? You get me? And you can still watch the remake, but imagine you only watch the remake and you refuse to acknowledge the original. Like, you're a fool then. You know what I mean? You must acknowledge the remake and the original. You must even forget the remake. You must acknowledge the original. And if you feel so inclined to check the remake for context, you can. You get me? So the foundation of creation, the origin of civilization, that's what this tune is talking about. The foundation being love, the foundation being creation, the foundation being Africa, the foundation being God Almighty, the foundation being the spirit within, the spirit of God that is within all man and woman. You know what I mean? Travels omnipotently throughout time and space.
Look upon Zion, the city of us.
Alright, fam. So we've come to the end. When you know the real history, we want to put that one up a little bit. The first civilization on earth. Black woman and man, and then they gave birth. Cause when you know the real history,
we start to see things differently.
and then I close off, I believe this is a quote. Yeah, this is from the scripture still, Isaiah 33, where I say, look upon Zion, the city of our solemnities. Thine eyes shall see Ethiopia, a quiet habitation, a tabernacle that shall not be taken down. Not one of her stakes thereof shall ever be removed, neither shall any of her cords be broken. Meaning the city of the Lord, Zion, now is the strongest foundation. Not one of the stakes shall or can be removed, neither can the cords be broken. The tent of the Lord stands firm. You know what I mean? Rastafari. Oops.
Shall not be taken down, not one of the stakes thereof shall ever be removed, neither shall any of the cords be broken.
I sit back, right, this is important now, because I forgot even at the end. If you remember now at the beginning of the tune, I sit back, I level my spirit, I feel them energies and my chakras open in it. And I'm sitting there in the mountain as we look over Jah water on the hill, giving thanks, holding a reasoning, you know what I mean? Searching for a higher knowledge. And then as I'm sitting in the mountain and the lake now, the way I imagine it when we write the tune, as I'm there holding my meditation, cooling in this knowledge from the Most High, bam, this vision comes to I, and it is of the foundation. The vision is what you're seeing in the lyric video is supposed to be resembling of the vision that I'm seeing when I'm talking about these things. And suddenly I'm seeing this ancient foundation, this civilization that was once great and mighty, and I'm seeing the truth about this civilization. Who really built it? Where did it really come from, as opposed to the lies we've been told? And through this, I'm unlocking my mind, I'm changing my way of thinking. And now at the end of the tune, bam, I come out of my meditation, I'm here in the mountain again. I sit back, level my spirit, I feel them energies, my chakras open in it, giving thanks. You know what I mean? In order to rebuild what was laid down from ancient, the key is to embrace our foundation. So giving thanks for this knowledge and revelation. You know what I mean? So it's a meditation. Feel them energies, my chakras open in it. Giving thanks, we're searching for a higher knowledge. Hold the reasoning in the jungle or the forest. everything's still. Jah waters and the hill. To rebuild what was laid down from ancient, the key is to embrace our foundation. Last quote now. By divine will, Ethiopia has managed to maintain her independence and sovereignty for thousands of years, while the rest of Africa and the world was swallowed up by the colonial powers of Europe.
Ethiopia alone, firmly rooted in her age-old independence.
Ethiopia alone, firmly rooted in her age-old independence, stood and still stands as the hope and voice for a people deprived and downtrodden. Now, I'm trying to find where I got this quote from, because I don't have my notes with me right now, the notes that when I wrote this tune, but I believe it is as well from the book by Abba Yehuda, A Journey to the Roots of Rastafari, the Saying Nazarite link. It could be a quote from Marcus Garvey as well, but when I was searching for it, I couldn't find it, and I think it's from that book, Abba Yehuda. So drop your comment below if you know any differently. We've had quotes from Abba Yehuda, The Roots of Rastafari, from The Wise Mind of His Imperial Majesty, crucial book, go check out Wise Mind Wednesdays, and Scripture, Bible, Isaiah, yeah? Ishibet Okeshi family. We're sealing it up. Yeah, that's how I finish it off. Ethiopia. Alright, let's pull up that last quote. Through divine will, Ethiopia has managed to retain her independence and sovereignty for thousands of years, while the rest of Africa and the world was swallowed up by the colonial powers of Europe. As we know, Ethiopia, the only country in Africa never colonized, keeping her traditions and culture up until today, and we give thanks for that. And this is why Ethiopia holds a special place for all freedom-loving people of the world, because Ethiopia is the beacon, the symbol of truth and rights, of love and light, of origins of righteousness. Ethiopia, the original land, the birthplace of humanity, the only country in Africa to escape the pitfalls of slavery and colonization. A powerful land. And for those freedom-loving people who know what is true and what is right, we love Ethiopia because we love Africa. And we love humanity, fam. We don't subscribe to the Babylonian divisions and teachings, And so, from Ethiopia, represents the freedom of Africa, the freedom of black people, the freedom of all people. We give thanks. Because Babylon, they've always wanted to get their hands on Ethiopia. And I know there will be some people in the comments now. Look this way, you. I want to take this from Ethiopia and take that crown off your head. There's the Ethiopian flag. Like, why me can't wear Ethiopian flag? What? Because I'm wearing Ethiopian flag, you feel like I'm saying like I'm stealing the Ethiopian flag? Not just me, but I. Fam, we are glorifying. Red, gold, and green have become the colors of victory and liberation all over the earth because of Ethiopia's greatness. Because when you know the real history, you start to see things differently, fam. So do your research, family. Study up. Study to show thyself approved. Cross-analyze, Cross-analyze. What's the word? I don't know how to say it. Put it in the comments. Cross-analyze, Have this book open. Have this book open. Have this book open. Don't just read one thing and say, alright, that's what it says, so that's how it is. You have to check. It says it here like this. It says it here like this. It says it here like this. Alright. Draw information from all three and find the truth. Seek the truth from the root. Don't be fooled. Check your resources. Where are you getting your information? For example, there's some books printed on His Majesty, and when you check where they're published in Cuba in the 70s by the Soviet press. So obviously they're propaganda, because we know Soviet was trying to come into Ethiopia in that time. And that's another video of what we're going to do. That's a very crucial one. Big up Professor Benji, I'm not going to talk too much now. I have to stay on topic, fam. So give thanks. Go check out that tune foundation. Check the lyric video. Obviously, it took 5 years. I just released that tune on SoundCloud. At the time I wrote it, I was working in England with my youth. So I was doing some teaching. The same time I wrote African Eve, and I was inspired by some of the reasonings that I would have with my children and my youths in that class. And we would talk about all kind of world affairs, and big up my youths them if any of you are locked in right now, and I forget Thursday evenings. So fam, at the time, we was having these reasonings with those youths, and this gave me inspiration to put out a little message for maybe other youths and more ones and ones around the world on a similar vibration, because sharing is caring and knowledge is power and education is key. Yeah, as His Majesty teaches, as we know, as the scriptures say. Yeah, so Exabio the Mazgan family, Jesus Christus, Kadamawe Haile Selassie first, Empress Menenai balance. Yeah, like we say, like His Majesty says, while the different religions militate against the development of loyalty to the world community, the mystics have already stood for the fellowship of humanity with harmony with the mystics of ages gone by. So right now we mystically stand for the fellowship of all humanity. We ban out any division, whether that be on the basis of religion, race, so-called race. We know race is a concept that has been designed by racists to serve their political agenda. You know what I mean? Whatever division that they try to push on us, right now, we ban that out of creation. Yeah, because it's a new time we're living in. It's a new frequency. So big up all the youth. Study up and raise your frequency and vibration in this time, and know thyself. And knowledge is power. Drink from the cup of wisdom and righteousness and love and light, from the cup of Christ. You know what I mean? Christ consciousness in this time we must aspire to. You know what I mean? Just like His Imperial Majesty show the modern example in this time. The Lion of Judah had prevailed to break every chain and give the victory again and again. Yeah? Rastafari. Give thanks, family, for listening. I feel we could talk more. We do have some new music in the works. Obviously, these musical works, you know what I mean, they lack something because I just did them at home on a little YouTube rhythm. We just had to put out the message. But in this time, level up, all in Jah timing, you know what I mean? Cycles of 7, enough things to reason about. I ain't gonna get too deep right now because we never even meant to talk for almost an hour on foundation. I wanted to do this lyrical analysis video for a long time since I put the lyric video out, and sometimes in life there's a lot of distractions and things, so we have to stay focused when we're gonna do something. We have to strike while the iron's hot. I give thanks to be able to hold this reasoning right now, and I hope I've not gone too much around the topic. I hope I've pinpointed the things that I wanted to say and the important things. Go check out the lyric video. If you have any questions, drop your comments. I know there were a few people, there are a few brethren of mine here in Ethiopia who are questioning me, and I mean saying I'm bigging up Egypt as the foundation and blah blah blah. But when you check it, fam, you have to listen to the lyrics, you have to read what I'm talking about, you have to study, you have to look at those references. Now when I read from that book, I have to go and find that book, and find that quote and read more, because I've only taken a part of it, you know what I mean? So to enhance our knowledge further, we individually must study. We cannot rely on anybody else. It's no good to go on YouTube and just watch what this man say and that man say, cha cha. You know what I mean? We need to read, fam. Yeah? Yeah. Big up all the readers. Big up all the watchers and listeners. Roots Juice TV. Big up all the Roots Juicers from that time. We've had a bit of confusion jumping between Roots Juice and Zion Heights, but right now, Jah lead the way straight forward, yeah? We're here in the Tion capital. We're here right now, giving thanks and praises in the higher heights. Yeah, it's been a reasoning on the track Foundation by Iman, 2017 spoken word piece. Go check out the lyric video on YouTube. We may release a 2022 edition, we may not. It is what it is. Rastafari. Love.